My voice remained impassive. Brenda's voice rose.
Fine.
Did you hear what I said? Yes, dear. You're going on a date with another man this Friday, and you're okay with that? Her surprise was impossible to ignore. Not at all. But what choice do I have? Like you said, I don't control you. You're on your own. Her voice and facial expression told me she was determined to go through with it. So what choice do I have left? She asked. I'll be back. Don't let your fragile male ego get in the way. I love you, and I'll make it right. You'll see. Then you know it's wrong. I kept my voice calm and steady. Again, what do you mean? She replied, her tone defensive. I didn't say anything like that. I deserved it. Would your parents and mine agree with you? Brenda lowered her eyes and didn't answer. A dead giveaway. I let the moment settle in her mind. It wasn't visible, but I knew it was still there, lingering in her thoughts. You know, and I know they wouldn't support you. You know what you're doing is wrong, I continued. You just said it. What else would you say? If it were dinner with friends, you wouldn't have to make it up to me. Or, if you were just getting a haircut, there'd be no need. You only said it because you know what you're doing is wrong. And you know it makes you an evil person. Her voice wavered with uncertainty. But you said I could do it? No, I never have and I never will. I only admitted that I had no power to stop you. I certainly don't approve of it in any way. My voice softened, but there was no mistaking the weight behind it. I wish you'd stay with me, or go out with me. We could go to the same restaurant and afterward, the same dance club. But it's not about food or dancing, is it? You prefer the company. And that company isn't me. You want that, what's his name? Man, am I right? She didn't respond, just turned her head upward and fell silent. What's his name, then? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, she muttered, her tone dismissive. I'm not going to argue about it. Just know this, I said, my voice firm. I don't want you walking around with Mr. Hound, and meeting him on Friday will have consequences. What consequences? Like you with Mr. Hound, she scoffed. I'm not saying you're not beautiful. You're smart, too. I keep telling you those two things. Apparently, you think I only say them because I have to, but I don't. I say them because I mean them. I'll leave it to you, smart woman, to guess for yourself what the consequences of going out with Mr. Hound on Friday will be. You're bluffing, she said, her tone a mixture of disbelief and defiance. You love me. You always give me what I want. Well, I want it. And like I said, I'll come back and we'll love each other and grow old together. I can't keep you from doing stupid things, but you've been warned. You're on your own. I stood, grabbed my keys, and left before she could say anything else. The apartment had been chilly all week, to say the least. Thursday night, I packed up my things and moved into the guest room. What are you doing? She asked, standing in the doorway. I paused, holding an armful of clothes. I looked at her like a toddler who had grossly overestimated her intelligence. What do I seem to be doing? You're moving?
Yes.
My wife wants to date other men. You think I'm going to sleep in the same room with a cheating dreamer? Her voice took on the sing-song quality of a 5-year-old teasing. You're such a little boy. Without a word, I grabbed another armful of clothes and hung them in a vacant closet, then returned for another batch. So now you're trying to punish the big, bad witch with silence. She smirked. How pathetic, was my only response. She couldn't say she wasn't warned. Friday afternoon, I got off work early and went to a high-end unisex salon. I treated myself to a professional, modern haircut, a clean razor shave, and a manicure. No shiny stuff, just a clean finish. Next, I headed to the men's clothing store next door, where I bought a casual yet elegant button-down shirt, slacks, and a jacket. I thought about buying new shoes but decided against it. New shoes and dancing didn't mix, so I passed. On my way home, I stopped at a car wash and had them do a deep clean. My truck didn't know what to do with it. At home, I took a shower. When I heard Brenda come in and take hers, I went downstairs and waited. Half an hour later, she came down wearing a new dress I had never seen before. It was a few inches above the knee, offering the world a generous view of her cleavage. She stopped on the last step and looked at me, as if expecting a compliment. When I remained silent, She looked at me again, her eyes widening like saucers. Holy, you look gorgeous. Where are you going? Outside. What did you think? I mimicked her condescending voice. That your weak, ignorant husband would just sit at home and wait for his promiscuous majesty to deign to show up? Shaking my head slowly, I opened the door to the garage. And here I thought you were smart. How can one person be so wrong? Well, I don't want to be late. Charmaine doesn't stand for it. Getting into my clean truck, I heard a shout and smiled. Gotcha. Charmaine and I spent a terrific evening at a wine bar that served light dinners. On weekends, a live pianist played on the small dance floor. At work, we had already found that conversation between us flowed easily. Even better, she appreciated my humor. Yes, it's a cliché, but it's true. Few things capture a guy's heart like a woman laughing at his jokes. Dancing together felt like sex in shoes. We moved in sync, our bodies pressing close. More than once, our lips touched ears, cheeks, and lips. Our bodies exuded magic as we pressed against each other. However, we both knew that I was still married and understood what that meant and didn't mean. So, we spent a long, leisurely evening sipping wine and letting our eyes play flirtatious games while chatting. Brenda, as I've said, is beautiful and passionate. However, the flip side of passion is jealousy, and I was almost certain the thought of me fondling Miss Dee Charmaine would drive her crazy. It would ruin the wonderful time she was planning to spend with her new and lustful Mr. Hound. When I dropped Charmaine off at her apartment, she did me the favor of leaving a drop of her perfume on my shirt, smearing her freshly painted lips on my collar, neck, and cheek. Kissing me on the cheek, she wished me good night. Go get her, Tiger, she said, laughing. I smiled, got in my truck, and headed home. It was barely 10 when I walked into the Big Chill. Where the hell have you been? None of your business, I replied nonchalantly. You never told me where you went with your anonymous Mr. P. Hound, she snapped. I'd ask if you used condoms, but I don't care if you're rotting from the inside out anymore. I'll never touch your lecherous, cheating body again, so I don't care where you went, what you did, or who you were with. I had a wonderful time, and I'm very grateful to you for it. What do you mean? Thank you. She looked at me, confused. Don't you see? If you hadn't gotten the stupid idea to open our marriage, I never would have had the chance to get to know Charmaine better. What a woman, hot, hot, hot. So thank you, darling. Brenda screamed at the top of her lungs, making me wonder if the neighbors would call the police. You know I hate that.
HM.
Why do you think she was the first person I called? Brenda stared at me, stunned. What? What did you say? Once again, I seem to have overestimated her intelligence. Pull yourself together for a second. This isn't rocket science. You decided to reject me and rub my nose in it by dressing up for some anonymous man, wearing clothes you've never worn for me, and you're surprised when I follow your lead. You renegotiated the terms of our marriage without my objection, and I just did what you did. The only difference is that I was honest enough to tell you who I was going out with. For some strange reason, you're too ashamed of your accomplices to name them. So, Ms. Rocket Scientist, what exactly is your problems? The wind was taken out of her sails. Brenda deflated before my eyes, 2 tears rolling down her cheeks. I didn't give her a chance to catch her breath before I continued. Let me guess. Kevin South didn't get you tonight like he'd hoped. Another squeal filled the air, this one full of pathos, as she clamped her hands over her mouth. How do you know? She whispered. I used the voice of a game show announcer. Once again, the inadequacy of your mind is on full display. Think for once. You work in an office with at least 10 other women. Kevin is the biggest lover of girls you'll ever meet. Everyone there knows who's sleeping with who, and they talk about it. That's what you did, so P-brain. Did you think for a second you'd be the exception? For over a month, several of your so-called friends have been telling me that you not only fell for Kevin's crap, but you started looking for him yourself. Google-eyed, one of your coworkers called it. Who knows, maybe he dumped her for you, no rage, all that. Rumor has it he was going to make you his tonight. He even had a room at the Marriott. Apparently, he's using the Marriott for the first night. After that, it's the Motel 6 or a woman's house. You didn't know that. Her big eyes told me she was shocked and appalled at being made to look ignorant, gullible, and such an easy target. She burst into tears. Oh, Rick, I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm such a fool. How can you stand being married? Married to someone like me? Brenda, the good news is I don't have to. I don't have to stay married to your stupid ass. You'll be served here tomorrow after breakfast. We're renting this house and we have 3 more months. You can renew your contract or use that time to find something better. Where will you go? She asked in a thin voice. Charmaine said I could stay with her while I figure something out. She has a second bedroom she uses for an office. Once I'm settled, she said we can discuss better terms. When I told her I'd file tomorrow, she laid out those terms. The good ones. I can't wait to discuss them further. Everything else you and I have, we'll just split in half. Now you can sleep with whoever you want, and you won't have to put up with crap from a wimpy husband. I hope Kevin is worth it. Epilogue. I met some of the other husbands who had fallen victim to Kevin, nicknamed Mr. Hound. One night after dinner, he discovered his car had been vandalized. Windows broken, paint scratched, baby poop all over the seats, wheels stolen, and I forget what else. While he was surveying the damage, 3 masked unknown men dressed in all black silently robbed him and beat him badly. The police were puzzled as to why the robbers would go after his wallet, fake Rolex, and even his family jewels. But since there are no witnesses and the parking lot cameras had been painted over, they had nothing to go on. The 4 spouses of his victims were playing poker at one of their homes. After he recovered, he moved out of state. No one knows where, but it doesn't matter. Brenda found an apartment, but when she realized I was happily attached to Charmaine, she moved out of state too. I never saw her again. I stayed with Charmaine for a while longer, but we mutually decided that short-term pleasure didn't necessarily lead to long-term compatibility. So I moved out and found a townhouse closer to work. As I got older, wiser, and fitter, I found common ground with a coworker at the gym I frequented. One thing led to another, as these things usually do, and I found happiness with a man who had real brains between his ears and loyalty in his heart. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to like and comment and press bell icon for more cheating stories.